Alright all, and welcome back to a new video and the start of the day-to-day previews of the Punchestown Festival for 2021. Seemed like they was the right thing to do, to be honest. We've done it for Cheltenham, we've done it for Fairyhouse, we've done it for Aintree, and we've got 5 days of Punchestown to get through a video every evening covering the cards on the next day and hopefully finding a few winners between it all. We had a good Cheltenham this year, we had a decent but non-spectacular Fairyhouse and Aintree, so hopefully we'll end up with an okay Punchestown to finish the season. We had a good day at Sandown, perhaps fortuitous, Potterman being the main reason why. No, he shouldn't have got awarded the race. Am I going to count it as a winner? Of course I am, because it was paid out as a winner and he ended up going off 12-1. So I'm happy enough with it. And my nap of the day, You Never Call, winning at 10-3 was the early price we got. Was a very, very satisfactory winner as well. That being said, we've got to move on to Punchestown and hopefully, as I say, we can land a few decent enough bets throughout the week. Got to be patient. Sometimes they won't come our way, sometimes they will come our way. So we'll start off tomorrow with the 340, a very competitive handicap hurdle. I'm going to give you 2 for this race, 1 near enough the top of the betting and 1 not so much. But the horse that's not so much is actually my stronger fancy in the race, and it's a horse called Clever Currency for Paul Flynn and Dennis O'Regan. He's currently in here at 14-1 each way, 14-1 Clever Currency off a mark of 118. He won his maiden last time out under Keith Dunhu by 11 lengths. Before that, he was second to a horse called Yeah Baby at Jessica Harrington's, who I'll get on to in a second. And I think he's potentially very well in here. As a 4-year-old, he gets a bit of a weight for age allowance, so he's off only 10 stone 9. Even though he's off a mark of 118, I think he's very well treated. Dennis O'Regan is exactly the type of guy you want in these sort of handicaps. I think there's another win to come from this horse. I think 14-1 is a gross over-exaggeration. I think he should be a lot shorter than that. As a result of him and liking him as much as I do, I am going to have a saver on Yeah Baby, who's currently best price 6-1 for Jessica Harrington and Sean O'Keefe. Similar enough profile of a mark of 111. Was second to a Paul Nolan horse called Coventry, who I think they regard quite well, before winning a maiden, beating Clever Currency himself. Off a mark of 111 here. Also gets a 4-year-old weight for age allowance. And in here, I think of 10 stone 2, 10 stone 3, I think Yeah Baby would have to have a chance if you're giving Clever Currency a chance as well. So I'll play those two against the field. The first grade one, the 415, the 2-mile novices hurdle. I'm going to be siding with Blue Lord here. I'm going to hope Paul Townend's got it right. Best price 5-4. I think the two of these horses, Blue Lord and Echoes in Rain, are well clear, as the market would suggest. Echoes in Rain has looked a hard ride in the past, as has Blue Lord. I think there's similarities to them. But Blue Lord has been campaigning all year like a very good horse, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he might be able to get his grade 1 day in the sun without the likes of Bob Ollinger and Appreciate It in his way, hassling him. Echoes in Rain is a very good mare, and could be too good, and also gets the mare's allowance. So I will preface this by saying it, but I don't think she's an Appreciated or Bob Bollinger, and as a result, Blue Lord might have a slightly easier task on his hands. Moving on to the 450, the 2-mile handicap hurdle, and again, 2 horses in this. 2 horses I've backed throughout this season. I'm going to back yet again. I'm going to go again for Master McShee in this, and I know some people will say maybe I should leave him be, but I just think back in a handicap it's plausible to be backing this horse off a mark 142. He's currently best price 14-1, and the majority of bookies are paying out 6 places, which seems generous enough. I think 14 is a good price for this horse. It's worth a try each way. As I say, back in handicap company. He's been a little bit lifeless the past 2 starts, in the grade 1 at Leopardstown and then the grade 2 at Fairyhouse. Didn't think he ran his race in either of those, and I'm hoping he might be able to go back to the form he showed at Christmas time, which I thought was very good form, and even before that in his Cork Maiden hurdle win, beating Atlantic Ferry and second to Appreciate before that. I think those 3 runs would make him a very, very good chance in this off 142. His last 2 starts, maybe not so as much. The other one I'm going to play actually is the top weight in this Cayd boy, who I backed in the County Hurdle and was a little bit disappointed with him, but he's currently 20-1. Simon Torrance on board, claiming 3 for Liz Doyle. I still think there's a good horse within Cayd boy. He won a handicap at Down Royal early in the season, came second in a big, valuable Fairyhouse handicap hurdle as well. He's got big field handicap experience. He's still a young horse. I still think there's a bit of progression left. And at 20 to 1, I'm willing to take a chance that there may well be. Next race on the card is the Champion Chase. And we are out searching for a bit of justice. Looking at the race, candidly, I do think Chacun Pour Soi is the best horse in this race. And the best 2-mile horse in this race. And you'll know, if you watch my videos throughout the year, I really like Chacun and I've really liked Allaho. That being said, Allaho down to 2 miles, I just don't see it personally. I think he's had a hard enough race in the Ryanair. And actually, if I was to get match betting, and you can't get match betting the night before, so unfortunately I can't put it up as a bet, but I would back Nube Negra to beat Allaho. I think Nube Negra is potentially a little bit overpriced. Now, it's only a 7-runner race, so I'm not going to put him up each way or anything like that, even though he is 5 to 1, 11 to 2. I am thinking Chacun Pour Soi will win this race. If he returns back to his best form, he's the best 2-miler in here, and I'm hoping he gets the job done. That being said, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a big run from the Skelton's horse, Nube Negra. I think you could argue that Punchestown is going to suit him more than Cheltenham, and he was ahead of Chacun Pour Soi at Cheltenham. But I don't believe Chacun Pour Soi's run completely to his 100% ability there, and if he's back to that, I think he takes an awful lot of stopping. Moving on to the next one is the Land Rover Bumper. There's a couple of races, a couple of bumpers this week that are going to be like this. Very hard. The majority of these horses haven't run. You've got a Mullins horse in here that was desperately disappointing on his first start. So, do you want to go with him? There's also a half-brother, a horse called Non-Binding, a half-brother to Fernie Hollow for Denise Foster and Jamie Codd. Would have to have a big chance. But I'm going to side with the Crawford's horse in this Hollington. He's what am I trying to say? He's regarded well and he's related very well. Sorry, related was the one I was going for. A grey horse, 4-year-old. Ben Crawford takes the ride for Stuart Crawford. I think this horse does have a bit of a squeak if the breeding is anything to go by. He was 68,000 as a 3-year-old, obviously held in fairly highly regard. He's one of this new batch of horses for Crawford, owned by Munir and Suede. Great to see them pumping money into a small yard such as Stuart Crawford's, who's had such a good record this year in bumpers over in the north of England. He's also done quite well in a few bumpers over in Ireland, and I'm hoping this Hollington could well run a big race. He's currently best price 4 to 1, second favourite. 6:30, the big clash. The Dooley Insurance Novices Chase. Only 4 runners, a fantastic 4 runners. 2 words for your Envoi Allen. I'm going to keep the faith with him. Best price 11 to 8 for Rachel Blackmore and Henry de Bromhead. The vibes are he's began to settle in a bit better now at Henry's. I think he was a bit jumpy at Cheltenham. He'd obviously just been moved from Gordon's to Henry's only 10 days prior. He wasn't himself. He ended up landing on a fence. Monkfish did go and get the job done in the Brown Advisory, but wasn't overly impressive himself. He has to come back off probably what was his poorest performance of the season. I know winning at Cheltenham, that sounds stupid to say, but it was a step down on his performances at Leopardstown. These 2 horses are magnificent horses, and I hope to God, more than anything from a betting perspective, that these 2 horses just stand up and give us a treat that we would really, really appreciate if these 2 were turning in side by side. I think Envoi Allen is untapped potential for him over 3 miles. I don't see that being an issue whatsoever. I think he's crying out for 3 miles. I think he's got the pace for 2.5 miles. I think he has the stamina for 3 miles. He's usually a very professional horse, and I'm hoping he might get the job done. The 7 o'clock, the Ladies' Cup, You Cannot Be Serious, is an odds-on favourite in this, and I just don't see it. You Cannot Be Serious. It's just not one that appeals to me. He was beaten in this race 2 years ago when odds on, and has been missing since. And you're taking odds on about him again. I'm going to end up going for St. Benedict in this race. It's not a race I have a massive play in, though. It'll be one of my smaller bets of the day. St. Benedict to 5 to 2. He's been a bit of an early horse, but there's possibilities based off his point-to-point form that a bit of better ground might bring out a bit of improvement. Harry Swan takes the ride for Enda Bulger. As I say, he's been knocking on the door in these types of events all years. A few seconds, few thirds in there. Hopefully he gets his head in front this time round. At 5 to 2, I'm willing to take a small play on him. And the final race, another conclusion concluding bumper, another race with an awful lot of horses that haven't ran. I think Mullins has a horse called Harakiri in this that was awfully disappointing when finishing third at Gorham Park. It wasn't that bad a run, sorry, not awfully disappointing, but he did end up going off, I think, 2 to 5, 4 to 9 on the day, so obviously better was expected. He's back on a bit of better ground today, which will be interesting to see whether that improves him. He's currently 7 to 4 favourite, but I'm going to play 2 each way in this. Again, 2 sets of connections I like, and unfortunately when you've got a awful lot of unraced horses, you're going to have to make a few decisions based off the connections you like. One of them being Viva Devito at 10 to 1 for Gerardo O'Loughlin and Derek O'Connor. Chris Jones owns this horse. I'm a big fan of Gerardo O'Loughlin. He's a shrewd enough operator, and it's interesting that they're going to give Viva Devito a go in this race. He's a flatbred, but plenty of stamina in the pedigree, so should be able to stay okay. And Derek O'Connor, a great booking for this type of ride. If he's good enough, Derek will be more than able to get this horse home in front. Again, as I say, you're basing it on pedigrees, you're basing it on connections, so hopefully he does well. And also, I'm going to give another go to the Crawfords and Munir and Suede in this with Barranco, who's currently best price 16 to 1. On the other hand, he looks to be bred to potentially need more of a trip in time. We've got one who's a flatbred, one that the proper national hunt bred will want further in time, but I'm hoping he might be able to show himself up well, and 16 to 1 does seem a big price for a race that you're getting 4 or 5 places in with the majority of bookies. So Viva Devito and Barranco for me in the bumper. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below, and of course let me know your selections for day 1 of the Punchestown Festival down below as well. Hopefully we have a good week between us all and back a fair few winners. What do you guys think? Some big plays, some shorter ones. In the grade ones, it's hard to get away from the short price horses because a fair few of them are match races pretty much, with the 2 favourites being even money in 5 to 4 or 4 to 5, 5 to 4, so it's hard to get away from them. In the handicaps, I have looked to try and go for bigger prices and hopefully bigger returns if any of them were to come in. No nap on the day. I'm not strong enough on any of them, to be honest. The one I'd love to win the most would be Chacun Pour Soi, but I'm not going to nap him up. It's still a hard race. I don't want to be wasting any 2-point bullets on anything today. I'm sure there will be a nap or two going later in the week. My best bet, I actually think, may well be Clever Currency in each way at 14 to 1 in the first race. I think that could be a big price for Paul Flynn's horse, and Paul Flynn knows the time of day. Anyway, until tomorrow evening, where we'll be back again for the Day 2 preview. Stay safe, stay well, land a few bets tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Cheers.